yesterday and today about communication. So communication, 55% body language, 38% tone and 7% words. And we rely on communication a lot, but there are so many barriers. And within that, so many different ways in which we communicate or choose to communicate. I know in the past when I went through a time of struggling, and my partner at the time was like, just tell me how you feel. Tell me what you know, so when we want to help somebody, we want to understand how they're feeling, how you're feeling. But sometimes we just can't articulate them. And I remember at the time just having the overwhelming feelings for what I was going through and no ability to put them into the format of words. There was an inability to make those feelings into a communicative energy. And you know, at the time I remember feeling quite isolated or lonely in that I couldn't share, I couldn't express, I could not put it into a way in which it would mean that anybody else could help. And so, not for the lack of trying, because you know, when we want to, don't we? You know, when something is hurting inside, or you know, something is challenging, then it would be nice if we could just hear, this is what I'm experiencing, this is what I'm feeling. You know, if we could just hold the energy of it, and those, you know, our loved ones be able to take that and understand it, to get it, to feel it. But that's just not possible because we're all different. And like I said the other day, that, you know, you could hand that to somebody else and it's just quite simple. But depending on our experiences and our personalities and our way of being, you know, some things just feel big. So, you know, communication with our body language, we can often sense from people how they're feeling, you know, according to, you know, how they express themselves, how they hold themselves. But often, and I'd say probably for the majority, so wrapped up in our own energetic field, in what's happening with us, with our own agenda, we don't often see those cues. And so awareness is recognizing that we don't often see the cues of others, that we can get caught up in our own agenda and our own feelings and, you know, what comes next, and our own, you know, highs, lows, whatever it might be. So we miss the cues from others. And in with that, aware that, you know, when we went to school, nobody taught us body language. Nobody's really been taught the obvious cues of body language, that, you know, if somebody's folding their arms, they're not comfortable, they're not feeling comfortable. And so, you know, once you've got an understanding of body language, then you can use those cues to help somebody feel more comfortable. If you don't have an understanding of that, how can you help somebody? And the same thing with tone. You know, we express with the tone. You know, there's the compassionate, kind, caring tone and voice, and then there's the more parental tone, the more kind of, oh, just get on with it tone. You know, so we can be saying the words, but the tone absolutely sends out a deeper meaning of the sentence that we're saying. So we might say, how are you, in a caring, kind, compassionate, genuinely want to know. Or we can say, how are you, meaning in a politeness, just in a etiquette, that, you know, it's socially polite to just say, how are you? And sometimes I do ponder when somebody asks me how I am. Do they really want to know? Do we really want to know? Or is it just, do we just use these words? And then with our words, you know, only 7% of communication is via words, but gosh, those words can be strong. You know, words are very powerful, and once they've come out of the mouth and hit the target, there is no way of bringing it back in. You know, you can maybe talk around your tone, you know, or you can maybe explain away you know, your body language if you need to, but words, they can cut, they can hit deep, they're sharp. You know, when I talk in my meditation classes about the vibration of words, and you can feel the difference between all kinds of words, even similar words, you know, the you know, helpful and kind, similar kind of actions, similar kind of vibration, but if you feel into the energy of the word helpful, feel. So the word helpful and being helpful, they were helpful. There's a vibration. And then kind, a bit deeper. You know, they were being kind. You know, that was kindness. It hits a bit deeper. So all our words have these vibrations, and we're using them all the time. And understanding that, you know, we listen to the words, but we're listening to the vibration, and the vibration of those words can cut, because there's the density of sound behind it. They can cut deep. So I think an important awareness that communication is and can be troublesome, because, you know, the way in which we can throw it out, you know, we can say something quite cutting, but quite just as an expression of our own frustration. It doesn't mean anything. The words don't mean anything. They're just an expression of frustration, expression of anger, and actually they're not meant to hit deep. And then other times we use words and they are absolutely, we want them to touch deep, you know, and that's, you know, in kind and unkind ways, you know. So sometimes we really want to express how much we love someone, how much we care for them, you know, we want to express that energy, and, you know, really thoughtful with, you know, the words and how we word it, and we want that energy to go out there. And other times, you know, we want somebody to know how that's made us feel. Either way, that communication is going out there, and understanding that I personally feel not easy, because the level of consciousness, the level of awareness you need to have to pause before you say anything. So not just throw your own energy out there, but also not to take somebody else's communication personally either. That everybody is communicating in, you know, the ways in which it's relevant to their internal world, not necessarily relevant to your internal world. And hopefully, as we progress through the numbers, and we progress out of the I, the me, the, you know, that's kind of what everything's about, and we expand our awareness that actually we're constantly sending out ripples in various ways. And the throat chakra is a tricky one, you know, knowing when to speak and when to keep quiet. You know, that's, as I observe that, you know, it's not necessarily easy, you know. Is saying all that we feel actually going to change anything? Sometimes, you know, where are we expressing from, and what are we expecting from that expression? And then other times, really important, you know, that we're able to say how we feel. When somebody is asking, when somebody wants to know, then, you know, our ability to express ourselves is important too. So understanding that we don't have this knowledge necessarily, unless you've looked into that area. you know, at school we're not taught about body language, tone and words, unless you do the anti-bullying course that that I've done. But anyway, so some people do, but generally, you know, we don't talk about communication. We don't teach the little ones about communication and ways to communicate. We don't have an education on, you know, kind of the power of words necessarily. So today it's mainly just about being aware that in order to help others, then pausing and taking awareness of those cues, not just the words, not just the tone, not just the body language, but them all together, and also being aware that we are expressing ourselves through our body language and our tone and our words. And this is the nature of things, but an awareness of it is important. An awareness of how easy is it for me to speak. Does it get stuck in the throat, or do I speak too much? Am I always, you know, kind of talking? You know, being aware of, do I interrupt people, or do I have lots of pauses? Self-awareness, and day 26 is awareness of communication, your own communication and the communication of those around you, and not taking it personally, not taking communication personally, but understanding that we're all acting and reacting, speaking and expressing, depending on how our own energy system is working. Okay, so reflection, pausing, important self-evaluation, and understanding that even though we might want somebody to tell us how they feel, that might not be possible. And even though somebody else might want us to tell them how they feel, that might not be possible. And so understanding that, and then using tools to help balance your own system, using the breathing, you know, finding ways that you do communicate if it's not via words, finding ways to soothe and balance that expression. Okay, hope that's helped. Day 27 tomorrow.